welcome to Just Daphne. This is for all my black women. Gather the women and young ladies in your family and let's have a living room chat. This episode is about slave mentality, colorism, and the cost of survival. Let's talk about something that's very uncomfortable today. It's not trendy, it's not popular, but I think at this moment it is necessary. Today's episode is not about bashing black women. It's not about tearing down our people. It's about telling the truth about patterns that were created for us and then passed through us. Because you can love your people deeply and still tell the truth about what's broken. The topic today is slave mentality. And before anybody shuts down emotionally, let me be clear. Slave mentality is not an insult. It is a psychological condition that forms under long-term oppression and survives even after freedom. What is slave mentality? Slave mentality is what happens when survival behaviors outlive the conditions that created them. It is when you compete for proximity to power instead of building power. You internalize hierarchy, you distrust your own people, you measure worth based on how close someone looks to acceptance. These behaviors once kept our people alive, but today they keep us divided. This is not about blame. This is about conditioning. Colorism didn't start with us. Colorism did not begin in black communities. It was introduced. Lighter skin meant closer to the house, less punishment, more access, slightly feeling more safe. Darker skin meant you worked harder, you were less protected, and you were more disposable. That system taught us a lie. That lighter meant better, that darker meant less valuable. And over time, that lie didn't just live in systems, it moved into our families. This one you want to get a little closer to me. How colorism shows up in families. And this is where it's going to get quite comfortable, uncomfortable, and quiet. Because many of us have seen it. Some of us have lived it. Fair-skinned children are praised more. They're called pretty. Smart. They're called, oh, she's the good one. Dark-skinned children are disciplined more, corrected more, expected to be tougher, expected to be grateful. And when those children grow up, what you think they do? They carry that into adulthood. Impact matters more than intent. A child doesn't understand, oh, I didn't mean it that way. A child understands your energy, your tone, and your consistency. Now let's talk about grandchildren and generational favoritism. And let's go a little bit deeper. Because it doesn't stop with children, it continues with grandchildren. Fair-skinned grandchildren often receive more patience, more gifts, more softness. Darker grandchildren are expected to be resilient, be quiet, be strong, that independent woman. That kind of love teaches hierarchy before self-worth. And hierarchy is never love, it's conditioning. And now let's talk about marriage, in-laws, and skin tone. Do your sister-in-law get treated better because she's light-skinned? Okay. Let's talk about marriage. Many families, whether you guys are going to admit it or not, still operate with this mindset. Marry light to move up. If a son brings home a fair-skinned woman, she is often embraced. If he brings home a darker-skinned woman, she is tolerated. She has to prove herself more, perform more, be quieter, and be more humbler, and run around a little bit to prove her worth. And even then, she may never fully belong. This is not preference. This is conditioning. Now let's talk about the whole reason why I thought of this podcast. Jealousy between black women. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room that you guys seem to walk around. Jealousy. This isn't about envy of beauty. It isn't about wanting what someone else has. It's about scarcity thinking. Under oppression, black women were taught there is room for only one, attention is limited, protection is limited, and you know your resources are limited, right? So another woman's elevation feels like your elimination. Competition replaces collaboration. Criticism replaces curiosity. Policing replaces protection. When the system doesn't protect you, you learn to compete with the people closest to you. And how could I have this podcast without talking about crabs in the barrel? You heard that phrase before. Crabs in a barrel pull each other down instead of climbing out. But here's the part that you guys never even talk about. Some people feel safer around struggle. Some people feel powerful only when they are the best in the broken room. Standing next to wealth requires growth. Standing next to excellence requires accountability. Standing next to healed people requires healing. So instead, we boast among the poor. We mock success. We downplay ambition, and we call it humility. Yeah, whatever. When people make it but don't break free, even success doesn't heal trauma. Some people escape poverty, but not poverty thinking. You know how they say they take the person out the hood but can't take the hood out the person? They get money but still crave validation. They don't mentor. They dominate. They don't build bridges. They build gates. You know the famous line on TikTok, Instagram. Oh, I'm not gatekeeping, but you are. Because freedom without healing still operates from fear. Now, how are we going to break this mentality? How do we break this? Tell the truth. Have some hard conversations. Refuse to rank blackness by loving without hierarchy, by choosing collaboration over comparison. Healing starts when we stop protecting patterns that protect no one. I have a challenge for you guys because I want this to start at home, in your family. Not for social media, not for applause, not for healing, not for some random, what do you call it? Thing. Nothing random, all right? I challenge every black woman listening, especially mothers, to sit down with your daughters and have a real meeting. Not a lecture, not a defense, a conversation. And I want you to ask this question plainly. And this is something that you probably shouldn't air on social media. It's personal. Do I treat all of you the same? Then stop talking and listen to them. Ask them, if you ever felt treated differently, how did that make you feel? And whatever their answer is, do not correct it. Do not explain it away. Do not justify it. Because feelings don't need permission to be valid. Then I want you to ask yourself the hard questions. Why do I feel the way I feel? Was I taught about my skin tone, beauty, and worth? What did I see growing up that I never questioned? And ask this too, and I want you to be honest. Do you favor the children whose father you still love? Do you resent the children who remind you of pain? Do you treat your kids differently because of what their dad did to you? Do I treat the children I have with my husband or my current partner better than the children I had before him? And this right here is the hardest question of all. Do I treat my children the same way I feel about their father? Because many wounds didn't come from strangers. They came from homes. They came from silence. They came from favoritism, disguised as discipline. They came from unresolved pain passed down as parenting. Healing does not start with denial. It starts with honesty. And if we don't confront this inside our homes, the world will continue doing it for us harshly. So this episode was not meant to shame. It was meant to wake us up a little bit because we're walking around asleep. Freedom is not just physical. It is psychological. And we cannot keep blaming the past while repeating its rules. It's not everybody's fault. If this conversation made you uncomfortable, I want you to sit with that uncomfortability. Discomfort is often the doorway to growth. Until next time, tell the truth, heal deeply, and build differently. Bye for now.